Massive breaking news. NASCAR Commissioner Steve Phelps has resigned.
NASCAR just lost its leader, and the reason why will shock you. Steve Phelps stepped down as NASCAR Commissioner on Tuesday, January 7th, 2026. After more than 20 years with the racing series, he walked away from the top job in American motorsports. This was not a retirement. This was a resignation nobody saw coming. Phelps became NASCAR's first commissioner less than a year ago. He moved up from president to commissioner in March 2025. The promotion was supposed to be the peak of his career. Instead, it turned into a nightmare. The trouble started with Michael Jordan. The basketball legend owns a NASCAR team called 23XI Racing with driver Denny Hamlin. Jordan and another team owner named Bob Jenkins refused to sign NASCAR's new charter agreement. They said the deal was unfair, so they sued. The lawsuit accused NASCAR of violating antitrust laws. The teams claimed NASCAR used its power to force unfair contracts on everyone. They said the revenue sharing was terrible. For over a year, this case hung over the sport like a dark cloud. Then in December 2025, the trial started, and that is when everything fell apart. During the discovery process, lawyers found text messages between NASCAR executives. These were private messages that Phelps and his team sent to each other. The text showed what NASCAR leaders really thought about team owners. In one exchange, Phelps called Richard Childress a stupid redneck who needs to be taken out back and flogged. Richard Childress is a Hall of Fame team owner who has been in NASCAR for decades. He is one of the legends who built the sport. Phelps also called Childress an idiot and an ass clown. These were angry messages that showed deep disrespect for one of the most important people in NASCAR history. When these texts became public during the trial, the racing world exploded. Fans were furious. Team owners were disgusted. Sponsors started asking questions. Then Johnny Morris stepped in. Morris is the founder of Bass Pro Shops. His company sponsors Richard Childress Racing. When he saw what Phelps said about Childress, he was done. Morris wrote a letter demanding that Phelps be removed as commissioner. He asked what would happen if the commissioner of Major League Baseball trash-talked legends like Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, or Babe Ruth. He said such disrespect would not sit well with fans. That letter went public on a Wednesday. The very next day, NASCAR settled the lawsuit with 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports. After fighting for over a year, NASCAR suddenly gave in. The teams got permanent charters. They got better revenue sharing. They got a voice in how the sport runs. NASCAR caved completely. The trial was going badly. The text made NASCAR look terrible. Jim France, the NASCAR chairman, looked stubborn on the witness stand. The whole thing was a public relations disaster. The worst moment came when Phelps finished testifying. Witnesses described what happened next. Phelps left the witness stand with his jaw clenched. His face was bright red. He made no eye contact with NASCAR's owners as he rushed out of the courtroom. His fiancée followed behind him. He would not even look at her. That image told the whole story. The commissioner had been humiliated in front of the world. His private messages were read in open court. His credibility was destroyed. On Tuesday, January 6th, 2026, NASCAR announced that Phelps was stepping down. The official statement tried to make it sound positive. NASCAR praised his leadership. They talked about his accomplishments. They mentioned the Los Angeles Coliseum race and the Chicago street race. But nobody was fooled. This was not a happy retirement. This was a forced exit. Phelps had become toxic to the sport. Sponsors were upset. Team owners had lost trust. The France family had no choice but to let him go. Phelps will leave the company at the end of January. That means he will be gone before the first exhibition race on February 1st. NASCAR is moving fast to get him out before the season starts. In his resignation statement, Phelps tried to stay positive. He said it gave him pride to serve as NASCAR's first commissioner. He thanked the fans, the teams, and his colleagues. He said he will pursue new opportunities in sports and other industries. But you can read between the lines. Those text messages ruined everything he worked for over 20 years. The text also revealed something deeper about NASCAR's leadership. Phelps appeared to support better deals for the teams at first, but as negotiations dragged on, he fell in line with the France family. That is when his messages became more pointed and angry. The discovery process showed that both Phelps and Steve O'Donnell wanted to make charters permanent, but the France family refused. The owners would not budge, so Phelps was stuck in the middle. He knew the teams deserved better, but he could not convince his bosses to change. That frustration boiled over into those ugly text messages. Does that excuse what he said? Absolutely not. A leader cannot talk about people that way. Calling Richard Childress a stupid redneck is inexcusable no matter how frustrated you feel. Phelps apologized to Childress and said he was venting out of frustration. He told the court he regretted his words, but the damage was done. You cannot take back messages that reveal your true feelings. Now NASCAR faces a massive leadership vacuum. The sport has no commissioner. NASCAR said it has no immediate plans to replace him. Instead, they will split his duties among existing executives. Steve O'Donnell will handle more responsibility. But that is not a real solution. NASCAR needs strong leadership at the top. The sport just went through a brutal lawsuit that exposed serious problems. Without a commissioner who makes the big decisions, who represents the sport to sponsors, who negotiates with team owners, the timing could not be worse. The 2026 season starts in just a few weeks. The Daytona 500, NASCAR's biggest race, happens on February 15th. Teams should be focusing on racing. Instead, they are dealing with this mess. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin finally got what they wanted. Their lawsuit forced NASCAR to change. Charters are now permanent. Teams get better revenue sharing. They have a voice in governance, but the cost was enormous. NASCAR's reputation took a beating. The trial exposed internal chaos and disrespect toward team owners. The commissioner lost his job. Trust was shattered and must now be rebuilt. Some people say Phelps was a scapegoat. They argue he was expressing frustration that many NASCAR executives felt. They point out that he wanted to help the teams, but was blocked by ownership. Maybe that is partly true, but leaders are held to a higher standard. When you become commissioner, you represent the entire sport. Your words matter. You cannot send hateful messages about the people you work with. Phelps joined NASCAR in 2005. He worked his way up over 20 years. He helped NASCAR return during CO19. He created new races in exciting locations. He secured major media deals. But none of that matters now. His legacy will forever be tainted by those text messages. When people remember Steve Phelps, they will remember the commissioner who called a NASCAR legend a stupid redneck. They will remember the man who resigned in disgrace. Jim France thanked Phelps for his service. He called him one of NASCAR's most impactful leaders. Those are kind words, but everyone knows the truth. This was not a celebration. This was damage control. NASCAR had to get rid of Phelps to move forward. Keeping him around would have been impossible after what happened in court. So, where does NASCAR go from here? The sport is at a crossroads. The lawsuit is over. The settlement brings new rules that should help teams, but trust must be rebuilt. Leadership must be restored. NASCAR said it has a world-class leadership team in place. They claim everything will continue smoothly. But losing your first-ever commissioner less than a year into the job is not smooth. It is chaos. The 2026 season will be fascinating to watch. Can NASCAR recover from this scandal? Can team owners and NASCAR executives work together after such a bitter fight? Can fans forgive what those text messages revealed? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. Steve Phelps' plan to fight Michael Jordan's team backfired spectacularly. The texts that were supposed to stay private became public. The attitude that was supposed to remain hidden got exposed, and the commissioner, who thought he could win, ended up losing.